welcome back to the channel. Customizing ARs is honestly one of the most fun things about owning them. Building them is even more where it's at. But when you get your first AR, a lot of people, the very first thing that they do is change out the muzzle device. Most ARs come with this these days. This is an A2 birdcage flash hider. And the reason why it's one of the first things that people switch out is because, well, it is very easy. Screw it off, get something different, screw it on. And I can understand why people do it. I remember having my first AR, in fact, my first couple of ARs, and when I realized that you could dramatically reduce the recoil by putting something like this on them, I was all about it. But I'm here to tell you, don't do that. I've got a better solution for you. I've wasted a lot of money on muzzle devices over the years that I don't use anymore. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this video and why it's titled, Don't Buy a Muzzle Device Until You Watch This Video, hoping that maybe I can save some of you from wasting your money like I did. Now, the reason that this came about was I have a cousin, John, shout out John if you are watching this video, and he asked me questions about this kind of stuff because he is really into firearms and shooting as well. So he was recently asking me about muzzle devices because he's putting together an AR build and he wants to get it right the first time. He doesn't have a whole lot of money to just throw away, and to be quite honest, none of us really do. I don't care how much money you're making. You don't want to throw your money away. That's just dumb. That's the whole buy once, cry once thing. Now, I'm not here to tell you that you have to get the most expensive muzzle device in the world. What I am here to tell you is this. You can go with flash hiders, brakes, comps. I mean, we got all kinds of different stuff here. Honestly, unless you're going to put on some kind of suppressor mounting system, you're probably just fine with an A2 flash hider. But I want to talk about what these different muzzle devices do for you, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what you should get. And it might surprise you. It might not. So, A2 flash hider. This is what most ARs come with. Reason why? It's cheap. It's also mil spec. And it actually does a pretty good job for what it is. It's what they say it is. It's a flash hider. You have all these vents out here. They spread out those gases that are coming out. And so you don't get a giant fireball. You do still get some flash, but it's just not a giant fireball. And it's closed on the bottom for a couple of reasons. For one, if you're shooting prone, then it doesn't kick up a bunch of dust from concussion and blast coming downward. But also for two, it does work a little bit like a compensator in that gases are expelled upwards and to the sides and not down, which kind of, helps compensate for muzzle rise and felt recoil. A2 flash hider is not a bad muzzle device. But of course, me being me, that was the first thing that I wanted to switch out when I got my first couple of ARs. Now, at this point, I just like to build them all and just buy exactly the parts that I want the first time. And that's kind of what I want to help you guys with here, is buying the right parts the first time. So a lot of people will switch it out for some kind of brake. These are from Strike Industries. This is what I bought when I was first getting into this. Now, to give them credit, nothing wrong with these at all. They were very effective and did exactly what they advertised. This one especially is their King Comp, and it's a 2-chamber brake, but it is also a compensator. It's got holes out the top here. You see how the hole in the front, the bore is small? That way, all of those gases that are following your barrel, out the bore, they hit these baffles here and are forced out the sides and upward. And that really, really reduces recoil quite dramatically, in fact. This went on my 11.5 inch right here, and it made a massive difference in recoil. Now, the longer you shoot, the better you get at shooting. You kind of realize that recoil from a 5.56 is pretty negligible anyway. But I remember being a new shooter, and it was nice to have that recoil control. And we're going to get into what muzzle device I do recommend here. in a minute after a very quick word from our channel partner. This video is sponsored by Aura. And like buying the correct muzzle device the first time, Aura is the correct service to buy for your online security. If you use my link down below, the first link in the description, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical, you can try it out for free for 2 weeks, 14 days, absolutely free. See if it's something that you want to keep or not. After that, it's only $12 a month, and what they do is they give you peace of mind in an online world. So, you know, they protect all your data. So data leaks are out there. Every time that you buy something online and they ask for your email, you give them that. Well, some of these places are selling your email address to data brokers, and data brokers are selling your data to scammers and spammers and all kinds of things that you don't want to have your information. Well, Aura finds all of those data brokers. They submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and then you don't have to worry about scam calls anymore. You don't have to worry about spam anymore. But they also manage your passwords. Password Manager is a very important part of protecting yourself online these days. They protect your home title. They have parental controls. They have a VPN so that you can browse the internet completely safely and anonymously. They do all this and they package it all together in a very affordable package. And again, 2 weeks free if you use my link, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. And that is the very best way to support my channel directly. So we're going to try to keep this video short and to the point. We talked about brakes, comps, they help control recoil. I've done videos in the past about what all of the different types of muzzle devices do. And in fact, even in those videos, I did give my final recommendation, which of course was suppressors. Well, kind of similar thing here. So brakes and comps we talked about. Now flash hiders, 3-prong flash hiders work very well at hiding flash. 4-prong flash hiders, same thing. I kind of like these ones from Silencer Co. that have the tines at different lengths so you don't get that, tuning fork ring after every shot. But you don't have to worry about that ring if you're using a suppressor. And this is kind of my point. Whatever muzzle device you think that you want, get one that is a suppressor mount. Even if you don't have a suppressor, even if you don't plan to get a suppressor at this point. My cousin John that I was talking to about muzzle devices, he's not ready to get a suppressor yet. And that's totally fine. There was a point where I wasn't ready to get a suppressor and I didn't want to be involved in the NFA. No problem. But if you're going to get a different muzzle device anyway, might as well get one that can mount a suppressor and future-proof yourself so that you don't find yourself like me removing muzzle devices that you already paid for to replace them with suppressor mounts down the road. Now, there are many different suppressor mounting systems. The two that I use are Silencer Co. ASR, which is what this flash hider is. I've got a 3-prong flash hider on the Mark 18 as well. That is ASR. My 16-inch ASR, or AR here, has an ASR muzzle brake flash hider thing on it. I don't even really know what I'd call it. A lot of muzzle devices are kind of combo devices, but at the same time, I don't care. You know why? Because all I really use it for is to attach a suppressor. My 11.5-inch, same thing. It's got the same muzzle device that this does. Now there are other options besides ASR. One of the most popular ones these days is Rearden. Rearden or Plan B, they're pretty much the same thing. They're compatible. I have to do this off camera so that YouTube doesn't get mad. But the Rearden system is pretty sweet because it's very simple. So ASR, you have a locking collar here, and then you can just screw the thing off. You see the threads on the muzzle device. It's very simple too, and it works great. Rearden here is even more simple. It's literally just threads. And the cool thing about Rearden is that you don't really have to add a big mount to your suppressor with locking collars and stuff like that. You know, they're pretty low profile, the mounts. I've got Rearden on my 300 Blackout as well here. And I think it's a great system. But the whole point is this. It doesn't matter which system you choose. Do some research. Find out which one works for you. I do recommend both Reardon and ASR. They've worked great for me. Reardon is also compatible with Plan B. So this is the Cherry Bomb from Q. Works with Reardon stuff. It was totally gold when I first got it. So was this one. But that's what happens when you shoot these things suppressed. And all you do then is your suppressor screws right on. Now, I'm not saying that you have to pick Reardon or ASR or any other specific suppressor mounting system. Just use a muzzle device that is a suppressor mount. Whatever kind of muzzle device you want. Whether you want a flash hider, whether you want a comp, no matter what you want to use on your AR, just buy one that's a suppressor mount. Do a little research. Find out which system that you might want to use someday in the future. Even if you don't own a suppressor now. Even if you don't think you want to get a suppressor. If you're watching YouTube videos about guns, eventually you're going to want to get a suppressor. And you might as well just save yourself some money. And the old adage, buy once, cry once, instead of having handfuls and boxes and crates full of muzzle devices like I do, just get one that'll work for you in the future when you do decide to buy a suppressor. And I say when, not if, because anybody that's into this eventually wants to shoot suppressed. So if you are looking for a muzzle device for an AR-15, do not buy one that is not a suppressor mount. That is my advice. And that advice comes from years of experience and years of wasted money on other muzzle devices. And yes, I did enjoy the benefits of things like brakes and flash hiders and comps. But you know what? They make all those same muzzle devices in suppressor mounts. So you might as well just get one that will mount a suppressor down the road. That way, you can still have a brake on here and you can still have that recoil control if you want. But when you decide to get a can, it'll screw right on and it'll lessen the cost of your suppressor at the same time. Because one thing when you get a suppressor, you know, Otter Creek Labs right here, $600 suppressor. You get this thing, well, that's not the only cost. Then you got to get the mount. That costs some money. You got to get a muzzle device. That costs some money. A tax stamp, unfortunately. It all adds up, and then you're about at, closer to $1,000. If you already have the muzzle device, well, then when you buy that suppressor, that is a cost that you don't need to incur at the time. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you agree with me or not? I think suppressors are fantastic. I love them. I don't shoot any of my ARs unsuppressed anymore, whether that be 300 blackout, 9mm, or especially 5.56. I only shoot these things suppressed. And the cool thing about having a mounting system is that this can right here, I just pull it off this one and I put it on this one. I was doing a video about this optic last week. I just put the same suppressor on this one because all of my ARs have suppressor mounting muzzle devices, and it makes my life easy. So let it make your life easy as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.